Today we're going to play that wonderful game, Wack a Miata axle. As you know, the Miata axles tend to get stuck in the rear hub. And the reason they're stuck is because there's a chemical bond occurs between dissimilar metals. You have the sintered steel axle and you have the cast iron hub. When connected for any length of time, a chemical bond, you've seen the chemical bond in dissimilar metals, especially in plumbing, where a copper pipe is actually unioned to a cast iron pipe, and then there's a growth, kind of like a refrigerator experiment happens. Well, the same thing is happening with the sintered steel axle and the cast iron hub. A chemical bond is created. Now, using a press is one way, but the real issue is this chemical bond, almost like a glue. The best way is to shock it to break that chemical bond. Today we're going to look at how we disassemble stuck axles on the Mazda Miata. To rattle or shock the axle out of the hub, we have to have the hub solidly mounted so we're not working against the bushings of the suspension as it sits in the car. So now the hub and axle is out of the car and it's supported between these two metal benches, as you can see. In this manner, a serious strike to the axle is a solid dead blow and a shock that will break that chemical bond. We've got 4 go-to hammers to whack a Miata. We have this hammer right here, and this one was made famous by the Beatles, Maxwell. It knows how to whack them, that's for sure. And this is a great 4-pound sled to use in tight areas. When you're working around the suspension and you have to swing, this short hammer is the way to go. This is our next 4-pounder. Got a little more handle to it, a little more swing. Our next 4-pounder, longer handle, get more inertia going with that 4-pound sledge. And then we keep our bad boy, the 9-pound sledgehammer. So those are the 4 whackers we're going to use. We talked about an 1 1/8 nut on the 90 through 97, but on the NB, that's the 99 through 05, you're going to use a 32 millimeter socket for that nut. Let's start on our first axle. The first step to remove the axle from the hub is to actually take the nut off. The nut is what we call the wedge nut, or it's actually crushed into a keyway here, and that prevents the nut from actually loosening up. But the first thing you have to do is open up that wedged part. To do that, we use a special chisel that we've created ourselves. You too can create that chisel. Let's take a look at it. To create the chisel, what you're going to do is grind the chisel so that it actually fit into that cut or that keyway, that groove there in the end of the axle, and that allows that to open up the nut. Once you open up the nut this way, there's a good chance you can reuse the nut. Okay, next axle, we got to open up that wedge. Off with that nut. Well, that last one came out pretty easy. Let's see how this one is. See if we can tap it out. Not too easy. Let's try to rattle it. we've been working through our stack of axles and stuck hubs and been able to rattle most of them out with the air hammer, setting them up in the fixture here. We have the solid fixture. But we've run into one now that just won't come. It's more stubborn or more stuck than the others. Now, being an old Honda guy, I've got my Honda axle tool. You guys, the Honda guys, you know this is how we pop them axles off to reboot them. So I'm going to use this as a heavy dead weight, and my helper, Pancho, is going to help me by holding this. He's so brave. He's going to hold this when I hit it with the sledgehammer. Ready, Pancho? Okay, we have brave Pancho. Brave Pancho is going to now hold this Honda tool, and we're going to whack this Miata axle. We're going to give it this ultimate shock with the big 9-pound sledgehammer. Ready? One more time. Remember, we're trying to break that chemical bond. One more time. Let's give it 3. Here we go. Now we're going to go after it with the air hammer again. Not yet. One more time, Pancho. Okay, air hammer. One more time. Okay. Air hammer. There it is. So the big boy gave it enough of a shock to break that chemical bond, and out she came.